Hey, it's Christina. How's it going? So I know a lot of teachers at this time of year are interviewing. So I just wanted to give a few interviewing tips. I've interviewed quite a bit and I've learned some things along the way. I've also been able to be on the other side and help interview a little bit. So I know there was some specific things we were looking for. So these are a few things that have helped me and just a few little tips for interviewing. So when I had the opportunity to help interview, it was just because I was on a pretty tight-knit team and we needed another teammate. And so our principal let us sit in on all the interviews. So one thing that really stood out to me and to everybody on the team was confidence. It's so important to carry yourself well and be happy and upbeat and to have it, have that appearance and to just carry yourself well. Because it shows that you're going to be competent for the job and you're going to be able to handle things well. So that was huge for us. I want to say that was one of the number one things we looked for. So another thing I would do before going into an interview, I would go onto the district's website and I would research, some of the different things they have in place. Like they'll put their mission statements on there and they'll just tell a little bit about some of the things they want to accomplish. So I would study up on that and really study up on the school a lot. So I'd visit the school's webpage and I would look at some of the different things that they like to implement. So that way, when you go into the interview, you know some of the stuff that are really important to them and you could really help, show that you could do that yourself. Another thing that's really important to think about before you go into the interview is to think about some of your strengths. So that way you can really show them and tell them all about your strengths, why they would want to even hire you. So I think that's really important to be aware of before you go in. I think it's also important on the flip side to know some of the stuff you may not do so well. And we all have weaknesses, we all have things to work on. But whatever those weaknesses are, it's really important to think of what are some things you're doing to try and change some of those weaknesses. Because if they were to ask you about them, you could tell them, well, I'm not very organized, but I've been working really hard on that. I've really tried to have little systems in place to keep things organized. You'll want to, think about those strengths and weaknesses for when you come across some of these questions that they ask you. I think it's really important to be yourself so they can see some of the great things that you are going to add to the school. So for me personally, I try to be happy and lighthearted. I'll even try to joke around a little bit just to make it fun and to show I can be a happy person and just to kind of lighten up the mood a little bit, because I know for me, I get nervous when I interview, so it really helps me a lot. But just be yourself and show some really great things about you and so they can see it and maybe so you can stand out a little bit too. So there are a lot of things you can do, of course, to make a really good impression on some of these people that you're interviewing for. But for me personally, I just try to find different ways to make myself stand out. So one thing I'll do is after the interview, if I haven't heard anything after a day or two, I'll call in and just check up and say, hey, I interviewed with you the other day, and just kind of remember, just try to remind them who you were so they can know that you're trying to take initiative. I've also done things I'll try to bring a resume in just to show that I'm really serious about it, or I'll have success stories ready to go to tell them a little bit about myself. But I really try to go the extra mile to really put myself out there. All right, so those are some of my interviewing tips. Hopefully they help out. But I would say just study interview questions, maybe just study up all you can before you go in, and then just put your best foot forward. That's all you can do. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you guys have a great day. If anybody else has any great tips on interviewing, please comment down below. All right, thank you.